All right, guys, Darren from FBA Elite, and welcome back to another video. So if you've been thinking about starting an Amazon FBA business, some of the headlines you may have seen in the news recently may have put you off that idea altogether. So what I want to do in this video is run through some of those headlines, look at what is actually happening, and hopefully come to a conclusion as to whether it is worth starting an Amazon FBA business or not. And as you guys know, I rarely take the side of Amazon, despite the fact this channel is all about Amazon FBA. I will take any opportunity to dig at Amazon, so this video is as neutral as it can be. So these are some of the headlines you may have seen over the past 2 weeks. Jeff Bezos loses 21 billion as Amazon shares plunge. We've then got the Independent here. Amazon suffers shocking 3.8 billion quarterly loss. Then the Daily Mail, the king of clickbait and headlines. Jeff Bezos sees 20 billion wiped off fortune in a matter of hours as Amazon shares plummet 12% after retail giant reported first quarterly loss since 2015. And even The Guardian are getting involved with Amazon sees first loss since 2015 as shares tumble 10%. And finally, the BBC, a little bit less sensationalist, with Amazon reports loss as online sales falter. Now, while all of those headlines are true to an extent, they miss two massive points, and that's what I want to go over in this video. The first thing is the actual loss has not been caused by Amazon e-commerce or Amazon FBA or selling on Amazon. So let's just dive into this BBC News article, as I think this is one of the less biased or less sensationalist articles to read about. So it says here, Amazon has reported its first quarterly loss since 2015 due to lower online sales and a fall in value of its shares in electric vehicle firm Rivian or Rivian. I'm not sure how you're supposed to pronounce that. So online sales at the e-commerce giant slipped 3%. Now, when you put 3% into context, that is a tiny amount when you consider how much Amazon has grown over the past 2 years, above probably what it should have grown when you take into account COVID and all of the lockdowns. But I'm going to come back to that later on in the video. So it slipped 3% in the first 3 months of the year as the boom to its business from the pandemic starts to fade, pretty much as I was just saying. Now, if we come down a bit further, the company reported a loss of 3.8 billion, mainly due to a loss of 7.6 billion on the value of its stake in Rivian. So if you actually take out its stake in Rivian, so its investment in this new EV company, it actually was in 3.8 billion profit for the quarter. So because the share price of that company fluctuated, so Amazon invested in Rivian in 2019 with plans for an electric delivery fleet and owns near 20% stake in the company. But the electric vehicle maker's share price has more than halved since the beginning of the year as the company has struggled to ramp up production. So there we go. That's the main reason they're reporting a loss. Yes, their e-commerce sales are down 3% after huge gains in the past 2 years. Like I say, above probably what they should have been. But the only reason they're making a loss is because the stake they have in Rivian is down nearly 20%, which has cost them 7.6 billion on paper or 3.8 billion in loss. So if you take that out of the equation, they are still in profit. So for me, this doesn't change a thing. Amazon FBA is still as safe from an Amazon not going bust perspective as it ever has been. And if we just go through a few more tabs here, just to give you some positivity going forward, this is the net revenue of Amazon from the first quarter 2017 to the first quarter 2022. And what we can see here, as the usual peaks and troughs as it's done, there's always a peak in Q4. These are all Q4 peaks. What happened at the start of 2020 with the lockdowns, things started to accelerate above what they should have been doing. So rather than doing the pattern we'd seen in all of these previous years, we went too quickly. Basically, we went too quickly. And anyone that trades will know if you go too quickly, you don't go up in a straight line, you always come back a bit. So it's gone too quickly, it's going to come back, and it's come back a bit here. But really, if you take out these spikes out of the equation and imagine that we continued growing at this rate, things are probably exactly where they should be. So COVID and all of the lockdowns and all of the restrictions, which encouraged people to shop online, distorted the figures for a couple of years. Now people are getting back out and actually shopping in the high street. We're seeing that e-commerce sales in general are starting to slow down a little bit. Not a huge amount, just a small amount. A 3% drop after probably double figure gains in the past couple of years really isn't something that I'm concerned about. So this just shows how well things are going. We've also got here some graphs. So you can see this has been their quarterly income since 2020. So things were quite strong in 2020. And this was right during lockdown 2020. A lot of people spent 2020 in lockdown and they were still doing really well. So these would probably have been half that amount if there wasn't lockdowns going on. and this would have probably been around 3 billion without the Rivian loss we just talked about. So this would have been well in line with what these probably would have been without the additional profits and income they were making because of the restrictions. And if we go down a bit further, we have another graph here which shows sales. So sales are really good, but growth has slowed down as we started unlocking throughout 2021. And that's pretty much expected. You can't keep growing, especially once you've grown so fast. So what we might see is growth either slow or decline slightly, but then things naturally catch up to what they would have been, and we would expect that to resume in the next year or two. And just a couple more things here, and these are the actual e-commerce only sales for Amazon. So not Amazon sales overall, these are e-commerce only. Net sales on Amazon.com, so just the US from 2014 to 2022, things have been going really, really well. So despite a 3% pullback overall, which we can't actually see in this line chart, you can see things are looking very positive for Amazon. And if you're selling in the UK, which I do, and many of the people that follow this channel do, this is a story from the February 4th, 2022. Amazon UK sales revealed Brits spent 23.6 billion at Amazon in 2021. That is a huge amount, and I think only about 10 years ago that was around 3 billion. So that is a massive, massive increase. And we can just read through these first couple of paragraphs so you can put it into context. Amazon has filed sales figures for its UK business which show that revenue jumped 20% last year and a startling 82% on pre-pandemic levels. So let me get through it. In the UK, sales figures jumped 20% last year, yet we're seeing all these sensationalist headlines about a 3% pullback in the first quarter. I mean, for me, it's really not something that I'm worried about. And just to kind of follow on that, for people that sell on .com, Amazon's shares of US e-commerce sales hit all-time high of 56.7% in 2021. And to compare that to its nearest competitor in the US, which is Walmart, they're absolutely smashing them to pieces. And in the past 3 years, Walmart has grown its business by 3%, while Amazon has grown it by over 12%. So all in all, despite all of these headlines, which I'm sure you guys will have been exposed to and maybe made you reconsider whether you should be starting an Amazon FBA business, I really don't think there's anything to worry about, especially in the short term over the next 1 to 5 years, which is what most people are looking to make a good return from Amazon FBA is during that period. So what I'm going to do now for people that are still looking to start an Amazon FBA business, I'm going to pop up 2 videos. And in the first video, I show you 3 of the types of products that I actually sell on Amazon. And in the second video, I'm going to show you the top 5 methods that you guys can use to find products to sell on Amazon. And I recommend you guys give those a watch.